Hi everyone, it's Jerry. I'm on ChessCube. Gonna Kibitzing a game, 5 minute, and here we go. 23-41 versus 23-73, and oh man, what a tight game right here. This pawn very far advanced, and this knight simply cannot move, right? In fact, the queen and knight simply cannot move because of what? Queen to c1. A very difficult situation right here that white has found themselves in, and this pawn could just be taken. The bishop can weasel around and grab that a pawn, and then this guy just pushes away. I believe this is just a very clear-cut plan at this point. Grab this pawn, get this bishop out of the way, advance this guy, and this queen has only one square, a2, and if that is played, queen takes knight, and if the knight moves, queen to c1, followed by this pawn advancing, and this is going to probably turn out to just be resignation. And I don't know that this king could really help out. What is white planning? King e2 to d1. I guess that is the best try. I'm not seeing anything other than, well, what to do with these two. Just the queen and pawn position alone are negating these two pieces right here, and we could even have a check at this point. Queen check followed by queen c1. This is going to be resignation. In fact, even if knight to a3, it's still just exchange queens, and I believe just exchange queens. Bishop to b4 absolutely dominates this knight, and that's going to do it. So we could just have a5, a4, a3, and this king could then just kind of walk. And is this king going to get over here in time? What is black thinking about? Just a5, a4, a3. This bishop doesn't even have to react. If the king ends up on b3, it doesn't even have to move because of the threat of a2. So it gets there in time, but this bishop does not even have to move. It should not move. Just the king getting involved at this point. White is under a minute, so having to fight back time-wise here. And can this black king make progress? I believe just coming around to this d4 point will do just that. Black essentially just does not want to allow white to have a connected pass pawn, and now there's just going to be progress. King to e4, and I believe we're going to be seeing resignation. This is a complete bind that black has, and now these pawns will be dropping very quickly, one by one. There's no moving the knight. There's no king improvement. This is just going to be resignation. Even grabbing this pawn, bishop takes, king takes, pawn advances to queen, and 30 seconds left. Resignation or not. White is maybe seeing that they're, or it's trying to sneak that pawn move in, but are they going to go forward with this as well? I guess so. All right. Hoping for stalemate apparently at this point. White is definitely not going to be winning here, and they're not even fighting back time-wise, so why aren't we just seeing resignation here? Hopefully they play one more game, and are we going to have a case of just letting the time get run off? Uh-oh. One of these, instead of hitting, maybe the resignation button isn't working. Oh, man. Okay. Are they going to play again? Do I need to encourage them? Play again. One more. Okay. Are they going to play one more? Any second now, they're going to play one more, hopefully. Oh, I need some Jeopardy music at this point. What to do, what to do. Are they going to play? Oh, it's not happening. Alright, let's try another one. Going to play? One more try. Pretty please. Okay, they're not listening to me. Let's try a different one. Okay, time's up. These guys, they're going to do battle. Alright, let me close out of that. What is going on here? We have 24-29 versus a 21-02. And, okay, both e4, e5 squares weakened. Who is going to be the better side? This is not really a knight's type of position. Knight c4 is something to maybe even have been considering right there. with all these locked pawns on the board. That's why I was referencing this not really being a this is a knight's type of position, not a bishop's position, because of all the fixed pawns and not very many of them being exchanged off the board. This is maybe a square to look into. In fact, queen takes right there was the threat. Knight f1 to e3 is maybe a way to go ahead and reposition this piece right now. It would act as a very good blockader of this e-pawn, and should black be considering just taking this knight out, seeing how knight f1 to e3 could turn out to be a pretty strong move. Okay, we're not having that. Is there really going to be a better square? This move, I'm not really sure of that, because now this knight is going to take up a really nice residence on that d5 square and be very annoying, hitting both that f4 pawn and threatening maybe knight e3 or c3 moves at some point. Although this rook is there watching over those sorts of moves. We do have a majority here on the queen side for white, but I don't know that it could really be put to much use. Okay, this knight really well placed, but soon enough we're going to be seeing a black knight well placed on now the d5 and e5 squares. So what to do? Okay, this is a good way to make progress. These guys are this is move 22, and there's not a lot of time that has been spent so far. Queen takes pawn was the threat. The knight, there's not going to be a better square for that knight at this point, and exerting pressure on f4. If g3, this rook, it might turn out this rook is just stuck. It might be worth considering rook to f1, but at the same time, this b pawn right here is a serious issue, and now knight takes f. What's the big trick with this? Rook takes first, bishop takes, and actually, okay, I mean, knight would have, I think, been a good move, hitting the rook and allowing for knight d3, a very deep position to have, a very deep spot in the white position right there, and looking to just exchange pieces. If knight takes, queen takes here, that actually wouldn't be a good idea, I don't think, because of rook block, and then white is just down a piece. But rook takes with check, I guess, just getting the other rook over here. This is going to be definitely a better position for black. There's not going to be a better square for this rook, I believe. Rook to a8 with a threat. It's coming down to a situation now where apparently white earlier thought that they could maybe get some sort of an attack with this rook lift, rook f3 to h3. That happened at a moment where the center was much more closed, I believe, than what it is right now, and now white is just kind of out of play at this point, right? If there's not going to be any attack, it's now, that's a very slick mate in 2 right there. I did not even see that. I was just thinking recapture at that point, but very aware was black at that point. Queen c2 or queen f2 followed by mate. So are these guys going to go at it one more game? We will see. Yes. Okay, we got one more, and a 21-02 is now on the white side, apparently. So what do we have? Okay, d4, knight f6, most flexible response to that d4 move, and now going for a queen's Indian, and white going for a king's Indian type of setup, and black meeting that with d5, so we won't be seeing e4 get in so easily. c5, and what is black going to be looking to do right here? Play c5, but not actually. f6 could even be played at this point. Well, and what is this knight even doing? And I think black is just overtaking white at this point. c5, knight c6, and I think this push right here, I don't know that this is really, why give white this square like that? These pieces are really well coordinated. I believe just knight d2 to f3 to e5. White now has a plan in that of just focusing all their minor pieces on this square right here. In fact, if c5 is played, I believe there could just be the exchange of dark square bishops, and then there will be a knight remaining on this e5 square for the remainder of the game. There might actually be some strategy on the black side to not move the c-pawn, just kind of keeping it on this square in order to meet bishop takes with maybe pawn takes, so as to guard that weakened e5 square, to no longer make it a hole. And I believe white should be looking forward with queen e2 and push, maybe even push right now, but g5 apparently was the threat, forcing this bishop into capturing on this square. I believe we definitely would be seeing bishop takes, bishop met with c takes, just to guard that e5 square. Queen to e2, and I believe just pressing forward right now and eventually looking to, well, gain some space if black does not do something about that white pawn being on e4, or we're going to have a situation where if black captures, that e6 pawn could turn out to be a target by either the queen or maybe even the bishop on h3 at some point. So how to recapture? There were actually some pretty interesting ways to recapture, maybe even with this pawn right here, preventing black from even expanding at all, but knight takes on e was the threat, and the queen is meeting that with queen e7 fully developed at this point, and this queen is looking for just that a7 pawn. And what else? Okay, that's my first thought was just moving at a single square. I don't know what the big difference is between going one or two squares. I don't know if there is a big difference between those two, but anyhow, okay, white is looking to go with e4. How does black improve? I believe just c5, or is there a takes first? Pawn takes, knight takes, and then push here. That might be the way to go, and then I believe if black can get rid of this e6 pawn, you know, what does that mean? It means the queen doesn't have to watch over it anymore, and there's maybe targets in that of this e3 pawn. And did white just... No, white, I just thought maybe the queen grabbed a pawn. What is it doing on this square? Looking to grab here, and... Okay, actually a couple things, but it seems just very deep in the black position, and now this pawn is just hanging. Is that queen going to get trapped? But I don't think so. Knight takes or queen takes. The knight would have been watching over the d8 square, so there wouldn't be any like rook moves to chase the queen away, but now we have... The queens are having to be exchanged at this point, or no? Queen takes pawn runs into maybe a knight move to g5, but I don't see any continuation thereafter. Queen takes f could be played without harm, I'm pretty sure. Queen takes, the knight can move, and the queen could just retreat to what, g4 maybe? Or just give check, actually, that better yet. Queen to e6 in such an open position, just trying to limit your opponent's moves as much as possible is usually going to be a good thing. I believe queen e6, a situation where really this is just no exception. You just give a check, and now just c takes d or land a fork. That's going to be lights out. And now knight takes rook with check, pawn takes, open up this file, and we have just a serious amount of material for the white side right now. And apparently looking for this g3 pawn. Queen e5 to f4, and white is officially consolidated everything, but rook here, and now is this knight takes on e3 going to be an issue? Actually, I believe that rook e8 could be met with like rook takes pawn even. There's just a ton of material that white has at this point, but there's no need to go in for that. Instead, just rook takes. That's going to be a very strong move coming up. Queen takes pawn. I really didn't like just even allowing knight takes e3, but this should still be winning however you slice it. This knight could just pop into e5. This bishop is being threatened. Should white be pushing this pawn right here? There are maybe some checks that white could be giving along this diagonal at some point, and now we have more simplification, and white is going to certainly be the better side with more material coming off the board, being up a full rook at this point. Knight to d6, that's a good way to offer more exchanges, or just place this bishop in a pin right now. Bishop takes knight, we have the queens come off, and why is black not resigning? Maybe just trying to work on the time situation here or something, but this game is going nowhere now for black. I don't even know what to suggest here. In the meantime, the white rook improvements, this is going to be really bad. H takes G, knight takes G with check, rook to H1. You pick your favorite way to win. Rook C7 with check. Oh boy, this is going to be bad news. Rook to C6. We're going to take the rook first. And okay, well, there's only one last hope. Maybe a perpetual check if the rook does a mouse slip or something to C7. And that's absolutely shut down at this point. Might as well just go with the most forcing moves at this point, right? Rook to C6. But that knight just stops the queen's influence along the e-file, and black is not content with giving this one up just yet. Alright, rook c6, bishop takes knight. I don't know what to say, and this game is definitely dead. In fact, it's so dead, I don't even want to see its completion. I'm really tempted to just close out of it, but no. Okay, queen to b6, looking for queen to e2, rook c6. It's probably like a mate in 4. Mate in 4 or something. That's a start. Queen check, rook mate or something. Queen to f6. Where's the mate? Who can solve it? I can't see the mate. It's 1, 2, 3. Okay, just picking off pieces, and I guess it's gonna be a mate in 3 or resignation. Finally, okay. That game was dead for quite some time, but anyhow, as always, I hope you got something out of this video. Take care.